Good morning, thanks for joining me. I hope everybody's well. Welcome back to part 2 of my Q, and I think I've just moved you around actually. Do I need to, am I central? Not sure if I am or not. That's worse, isn't it? There we are, that'll do. Welcome back to part 2 of my Q&A. If you saw my video on Wednesday, that was part 1 of a Q&A. I asked you for questions on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook, and you all replied. I've done the Facebook questions in part 1 of my Q&A, which was on Wednesday, and today we are going to do the Instagram and the YouTube questions, and there are a lot, so we better get straight into it. I'm going to start with the Instagram questions. I haven't got the names on all of these, so apologies for that. Trying to find a new style after weight loss has been hard for me. Do you have any advice? The only thing I can suggest, because I know exactly what you mean, all the styles that I wore, and don't get me wrong, I quite liked the styles of clothes that I wore when I was bigger than I am now. I always tried to dress nicely and look nice. Okay, I was fat, but that doesn't preclude you from being nice. But I find some of the comments quite bizarre that people leave saying, that was the sort of thing you wore when you were fat. You shouldn't wear that anymore. But not necessarily using the word fat, and I'm paraphrasing. But maybe I like that style, and that's why I'm wearing it. And I always say, and you're probably sick of hearing it, that the only thing a woman shouldn't wear is the weight of other people's opinions, and I absolutely stand by that. Wear what makes you happy. Going back to the question itself, though, because I've segued off that a little bit, I would say try all sorts of things completely out of your comfort zone, because you might be... I get to do a lot of that myself because, obviously, of what I do here. I try on a lot of clothes. Look, I get the opportunity to try on a lot of different styles. So go and try on loads of different styles, things that you wouldn't never have looked at before, or things that are a little bit like you would have. Just try lots of different things, and you will find things that you feel comfortable in and surprise yourself in a good way, hopefully. What I find quite interesting is you have to be comfortable in what you wear. Just because 20 people on a YouTube video are telling me that blue top you didn't like, you looked the best in that, doesn't mean I'm ever going to wear the blue top because I didn't feel nice in it. And that's the important part. Find something that you feel comfortable wearing, and that will make you the happiest. Next question. Hi, Mrs. M. When your kitchen is finished, what will be your next project? I cannot conceive of ever wanting a builder in my house again at this point in my life. That being said, we will have, when the kitchen is done, we will have finished, or that will be the final major renovation project on the house. We will at some point probably need a new roof, but that is obviously not inside the house and not of any interest at all to anybody else. Not really of that much interest to me, apart from it's leaking a bit. So yeah, let me get over this kitchen project first before we start thinking about what else we need to do. Carol Foster 3885 says, are you still taking the collagen supplement? Would you recommend it? No, I advertised one collagen supplement, and I have also tried off my own bat a couple of other collagen supplements, and I didn't find that I felt I was getting any discernible benefit from them. So I'm no longer taking collagen supplements. However, I am aware that they are advertised everywhere and pushed at midlife women an awful lot. And I'm probably going to get a deluge of comments saying, you should take collagen, it's done this, that and the other for me. But each to his own, really. But no, for me, I didn't find any discernible benefits, I guess, from collagen. Rachel Jag says, what is your favourite part of your new kitchen design? It's not finished yet, Rachel, but when they've finished will be my favourite part of it. The end, I think, will be my favourite part. Although I am quite excited about my Quooker tap. That's quite exciting. Lots of questions about Mounjaro on here. Have you stopped Mounjaro, and if so, how are you getting on? No, I haven't stopped it. Are you still going to do the injection with it being more expensive? I was able to buy, before the price went up, 3 pens from my supplier, each of which has 4 doses in, so that's 3 months worth. And I also use what they call the golden dose, so I get 5 doses out of every pen. And I am still... I've only just started I'm on week 2 of of the second of those pens, so I still got another one after this one. I am going to do another Mounjaro follow-up video, I think, at some point in the near future, so I won't go on about that too much in this one. Right, that is all the Instagram questions. Let's have a look at the YouTube ones. Okay, let's go to sort by newest. Debbie Deb X says, where does your tortoise hibernate? Has she, it's a he's Freddie. Actually, I say he's a he. We don't actually know. We've never had him sexed. It's quite difficult to sex a tortoise when you've only got one. Has she got its own little house? And who looks after it when you go away in the summer? He hibernates out of choice. We have tried to make him hibernate in a box in the garage. He also has a little wooden house which he hates with a passion, won't go in it unless we physically put him in it. He won't hibernate in his house, he won't hibernate in a box filled with special tortoise bedding. He chooses to dig himself down into a flower bed in the courtyard out the back, which is where he lives. He digs himself down a couple of feet and hibernates there and comes out when he's ready. Or sometimes we give him a helping hand to come out if he's hibernated for too long. But that's entirely his own choice, and it's not something that is recommended that a tortoise hibernates outside. They say in the books, oh, your tortoise will die if he hibernates outside. But of course, tortoises come from the wild. They hibernate outside in the wild. They come, I think he comes from Serbia or somewhere like that, and it's bloody cold there in the winter. So yes, that's what he chooses to do, and he's doing all right so far. Karen G says, hi Caroline, did you buy a little skateboard for your tortoise to whiz around the house on? I talked about buying one. I saw one on Temu and I was really desperate to buy it, and I showed it to Ashley. He went, don't be so ridiculous. I don't think the tortoise would like a little skateboard. I think it's a bit of an anthropomorphization to imagine that my tortoise would like a skateboard to whiz around on, but I do think it would be quite funny. So no, I didn't get him one. Joan Carucci says, hi Caroline, if you were starting your channel today, is there anything you would do differently? If so, what would it be? I've been on YouTube 10 years now, I want to say, and the whole, sorry, I've got an itchy nose, the whole social media landscape has changed immensely in that decade. Of course, as well, when you start YouTube, you don't really envision that at some point you're going to be speaking to a larger audience than the 20 people who are watching it so far. I think I would, yes, there is something I would have done differently. I wouldn't have been so open and shared as much as I did. It, in the early days, had some repercussions that weren't great, let's just say that. And I'm not going to say any more on that. Do you still have your tortoise? Pauline Burst says, yes, I do. He's currently hibernating. Miss Libby says, good day, Caroline. I've just found your channel. I've been binge watching for days. Oh, thank you, Libby, and welcome to my channel. Question, with such a large following, do you ever get the opportunity to meet any of your subscribers in person? I'm in Australia, so if you're ever down this way, I'd love to shout you the best coffee you'll ever have. Thank you, Libby. I have met subscribers in person. I have been recognised, and people have come and spoken to me on cruise ships, on a plane once, on holiday several times in Greece, at a car boot sale, in Tesco's, once with my mum in Bournemouth in Marks and Spencer's, and somebody even messaged me and said they'd seen my sister-in-law, who's very rarely been on video. She's been on a couple of Instagram photos, but she has been on a couple of videos very briefly. But someone even recognised my sister-in-law once, said, was your sister-in-law at XXX recently? I think I saw her. So I asked her and she had been. So yeah, so I have met people. It's always a lovely experience, very nice to meet people. And I always appreciate it when people take time to stop and have a chat with me. It's very nice to meet people in person. Carol San Marina says, good evening, Caroline. My question is not meant in any way to be cheeky or offensive. It's not cheeky or offensive at all. So lately you seem to be glowing and more relaxed. Has Mounjaro any way changed how you feel about life, or is it happiness? I wish both for you. Very much appreciated work. Oh, thank you very much. I think probably my skin looks better because I am adopting a more healthy lifestyle. I have several people have said that my skin's improved. Perhaps it's makeup, I don't know, but I suspect my skin does look. It's very difficult to quantify when you see yourself every day in the mirror, you know, to notice that much of a difference. But if my skin is more glowing, I would suspect it's down to the weight loss and eating healthier and exercising a bit more and all of that good stuff that they tell us is good for us. And of course, drinking water. Definitely not more relaxed, definitely not happier. Again, that has been said a few times again. I am equally as happy and relaxed, or not so, as I was this time last year. So I think it's easy to make assumptions in that regard. And yeah, I'm definitely not happier or more relaxed, but I'm not any less happier or any less relaxed either. I'm just same old me, different day. Joan Lemon Chick says, hi Caroline, do you follow any influencers in Canada? And if so, would you mind advising who? Thanks so much. Also, I love your channel. Thank you, Joan. I follow, I dip in and out of, I should say more so, Glam Girl Gabby, who I think is in Canada. And I do watch quite a lot of North American content YouTubers. I don't necessarily know where they all are. So there may be some in Canada that don't necessarily say they're in Canada. Does that make any sense? I don't necessarily know where people come from. And I can't discern the difference between Canadian and American in terms of accents. I'm not good enough for that. So I may be following some that I don't know about. Sorry, that was not a helpful answer particularly, was it? Jules Eagle says, 2 questions, please. 1, where is your favourite holiday destination? Is there anywhere you'd love to holiday that you haven't been to yet? My favourite holiday destination is probably Greece. We love Greece. We go back every year. I would love to explore some more parts of Greece at some point that we haven't been to. Some of the smaller islands would be nice. But I don't have loads of places left on my bucket list. I am lucky that I have been to a lot. There are certainly places that I would like to visit, but I don't have any burning desires. At the moment when we go on holiday, it's mostly to relax and recharge our batteries. So we tend to go for holidays that are going to help us do that rather than exciting travel destinations. Question 2 from Jules is, if you could change or do one thing differently about your weight loss journey, what would it be? Honestly, absolutely nothing at all. It has been a revelation to me that I've been able to achieve this level of success. I've been perfectly happy with the speed it has been at, although I have plateaued a bit at the moment. There is nothing whatsoever I would change. I think things come to us at the right time in our lives, don't they? So there's nothing that I would change, I don't think. Hi Caroline. Judith Wright says, hi Caroline, have you sailed on any other cruise lines apart from Cunard, and how did they compare? Yes, we've done Cunard several times, and Cunard is where my heart is. I love the old-fashionedness of the glory days of transatlantic travel. It suits us. We love the dressing up and the old-fashionedness. It really suits me. After I worked on cruise ships, I always said that the only cruise I would ever want to do as a passenger would be a transatlantic on Cunard, and that was the first cruise I did, and I loved it even more than I thought I was going to. And just suffice to say, we've booked our 3rd one for this next year, next November. I have sailed on other cruise lines, however. We went on celebrity cruises not this summer gone, the one before. I would not go on a ship that big again. The huge cruise ships are not for me. It was just too big and too busy, although there were a lot of things I liked about it as well. That did definitely make me realise that, and my family as well, I think the big cruise ships are not for us. We also went on Fred Olsen this year with Mum, and that suited the 2 of us as a little brief we only did 2 nights, a little girls' cruise for 2 nights. That suited us perfectly. I'm not sure Ashley and I would go on Fred Olsen at this stage of our lives together, but for Mum and I, it was really good. I was impressed by it, lots of aspects of that, and enjoyed it, and the ship wasn't too big. We are booked, Mum and I are booked to go on P&O next year on one of the smaller ships for a 3-night cruise, so we're looking forward to that. And we are also booked as a family on Explorer. which is a small luxury cruise line. We're doing a 7-day trip out of Barcelona next summer with my mum and my brother and his wife. Looking forward to that as well. So we are gradually exploring other cruise lines, but so far I would say my heart lies with Cunard. Tracy Kenny asks, where else in Britain would you live if you had to choose? Will you always live in such a big house once you both retire? I think we are likely to move on from here at some point, but I don't know when. In terms of this house, I would live back on the border of Dorset and Hampshire, where I lived before I moved down to Devon to live with Ashley. I like that part of the world. I'd also move to Bath. I think Georgie and Will might move to Bath at some point. I think that's where they plan to end up, and I would quite happily live in or around the Bath area. I'd like to be nearer London and the rest of the world than I am here in Devon. Always feels a long way to travel anywhere, although it's a nice part of the world and it has its benefits as well. Maria Sia 6269 says, hi Caroline, I've watched you for so many years now. I feel like I know most of the answers to the questions below. What about revealing something about you that you've never mentioned before? Do you know what? I had to think about this question before I started making this video, and I genuinely couldn't come up with something that I would want to share that I haven't already told you. I feel like I'm pretty much of an open book, and I couldn't come up with anything that would be even vaguely interesting that I would be happy to share with you. So sorry, I can't think of anything. Francis Trainer says, hi Caroline, fun question. What's your favourite gin? Mine's Hendrick's. I like a good Hendrick's. I love trying all different gins. My current favourite one, I can't remember the brand actually. I will have to ask my mum when I'm editing this and put a little picture in. But my mum has a black cherry gin, I think it is, in her cupboard that I had when I went up to hers last time, and it was absolutely delicious. In fact, I must buy a bottle of it. That's reminded me. So thank you for asking that, Francis. I'll pop a picture in of what it was when I edit the video. Jackie 9176 says, if you could go back in time, what words of wisdom would you share with your younger self? Enjoy life as much as you can because it passes by bloody quickly, I think. Willow Girl, how is Freddie the tortoise? Is he ready to hibernate? He's already hibernating. Kim Gale says, what would you tell your younger self about social media and becoming an influencer? I think I would tell myself to know my own worth. And I think this is also really good advice for not necessarily younger, but anyone starting out with a YouTube channel. You will begin to get approached as your audience increases by companies wanting you to sell their products for them. And please know your worth. I see a lot of people bending over backwards to give unpaid coverage and obviously doing everything they are asked to do. You can say no. I just think it's really important to know the value of your platform and your audience and not sell yourself and your audience short, and never be afraid to refuse to do something if you don't think that that brand is paying you a fair amount. Always push back. Sorry if that all sounds a bit obscure. It probably doesn't make sense if you haven't got a YouTube channel, but hopefully there'll be some people who will be able to take some, because there's not a lot of, because it's such a new industry, there is not a lot of information out there, and you go into it blind and it's not always easy if you're not a bit business minded and you don't really perceive your own value in terms of your audience that you've built up and what you've got to offer. Anyway, right, Michelle Giblin says, what is your favourite perfume of all time? It is Clinique Wrappings, which is sadly no longer made. They used to sometimes do a limited run of it at Christmas, but they haven't done that for a few years even, and I'm on my last bottle and I'm enjoying it every time I spray it, which is not that often. I am eking it out a little bit. So yes, that is my favourite. Kaza77 says, what is your favourite meal to cook, and is it one you made up yourself or is it from a cookery book? I think it depends on my mood at the time. I enjoy cooking when I have the time and the headspace to do so. I'm actually looking forward to being able to get back to cooking in my new kitchen because it feels like a long time since I've cooked properly. I quite enjoy cooking a shepherd's pie at this time of year. It's a nice comfort foodie thing. It's something that my mum used to cook when we were kids, and I've gradually honed the recipe over the year to actually my own tastes, and it's probably different from how we used to have it at home. But yeah, that's one of my favourite and most long-standing recipes that I cook, I think. Anna Perry says, what is your most hated chore that you have to do in your house? And do you have any tricks or tips that you use in your house to make anything simpler? I have a cleaning lady. She is my tip and trick. She comes once a week for 2 hours, and it is genuinely the best money that I spend every week. She's become a friend over the years. She's been with me for a long time, Becky, and she cleans the house so much more efficiently and better than I can. I mean, obviously I clean the house as well in between, but Becky does a sweep through of the main rooms that we live in, and that's on a Thursday, and it just looks lovely after she's been. Obviously, I justify it because I still work full-time hours, and I'm able to afford to pay that. Well, once I retire, I will probably have to do my own cleaning, I imagine. My most hated chore is probably mopping floors. I don't enjoy mopping floors at all. I don't mind hoovering, but I really don't enjoy mopping the hard floors at all. Courtney R says, hi Caroline, do you have any guilty pleasures, music, TV, food, anything? Mine is that I'm partial to a bit of Cliff Richard now and then. No offence to any Cliff fans out there. Do I have any guilty pleasures? I have a lot of pleasures, but I try not to feel guilty about them. I think probably my guilty pleasure is taking a couple of hours to myself on a weekday afternoon to sit down and read my book, because I do feel a bit guilty about that, because there's always something that I could be doing that is more productive than that. But whenever I do that, it feels like a bit of a guilty pleasure, and it really is a pleasure. I really enjoy it. Jude's Hangout says, if money was no object, where would you like to go on holiday or visit? I think I would like to do one of those. I've got myself onto a mailing list of great train journeys. I would like to do one of those sort of great train journeys, sort of transcontinental train journeys. I'm not quite sure which one. I saw a lovely looking one in India recently, and they cost the price of a small house, you know, but they look absolutely fantastic. Don't think I'll be going on one in the near future, but a girl can dream, can't she? Heather Leutscher Warren says, hi Caroline, what is your favourite alcoholic drink and has it changed over the years? My favourite cocktail is a margarita. I love an Aperol Spritz in the summer, and I like a cold glass of Pinot Grigio. That is probably my absolute favourite drink, is a cold glass of Pinot Grigio. It has changed over the years. I used to prefer Muscadet, but not for a long time. I would say that I've been pretty set in those three preferences for quite a while. Elizabeth Brown says, who was your biggest teenage crush? Mine was John Taylor from Duran Duran, and actually I still would. Funnily enough, mine was also John Taylor from Duran Duran. I was a big Duranie back in the day, Elizabeth. Kathy SBD1 says, which shops did you like shopping at when you were younger? I used to love Chelsea Girl. I used to love C&A. Really enjoyed C&A. I'm talking about my late teens here, early 20s. Chelsea Girl, C&A, Clock House it was in C&A, wasn't it? Those were probably my two favourites. Claire D says, what are the top 10 things you have or would put on your bucket list? I have a 60 before 60 project that I am doing currently. It's over on my membership channel. There are videos about it. It's always linked in the description box, but it's basically 60 things that I want to do or see or complete before I'm 60 years old, which is in 3 years' time. There's all sorts of different things on it. If you're interested, those videos are over on my membership channel. Helen UK says, hi Caroline, what job would you be doing if you weren't a social media influencer? I would probably still be selling clothes online, which I still do. I very much enjoy that part of what I do, and I would probably just ramp that up if I wasn't on YouTube anymore and do a bit more of that, because I'd have time to do more of it. Julie Knight says, hi Caroline, what kind of music do you like? Do you ever go to concerts? I love your vlogs. Thank you, Julie. I'm not a big music fan. I used to be when I was younger. I definitely don't go to concerts. I don't like big crowds of people. The idea of going to a concert with that many people, it just fills me with, nerves and worry, to be honest. I'm not. I listen to the radio in the car, and I have the radio on sometimes at home. I'll occasionally play one of my old CDs. I don't even have Spotify or Alexa playing music or any of that stuff. Not a big music fan. Jill Taylor says, "Hi Caroline, what did you really worry about when you were younger that you don't give an F about now? Or what you wish you hadn't wasted so much energy worrying about?" To be honest, I am much more of a worrier now than I was when I was younger, and I worry about things that haven't happened or aren't going to happen. I would say that I have quite a lot of menopause or post-menopause worry and anxiety. I think it's quite a normal thing. I've talked about that at some length a few years ago, and it resonated with loads of you, and loads of you talked about, how pleased you were that I'd talked about illogical and unnecessary worries. If I message William and he doesn't message me back, William's my son, within an hour or 2 hours, I feel like he's dead. I worry that he's dead in a ditch somewhere. I have got better about that in the last couple of years, but yeah, I would say I'm much more of a worrier now. I wish I had that. I think when you're young, you just don't worry so much about stuff, do you? And I worry about all sorts of stuff now, whether it's happened, hasn't happened, all sorts of stuff. I think it's just one of the downsides of getting older. Jeanette Forbes says, "I missed the name of the bra you recommended. I would be obliged if you could give me the name." The name is Comfily, Jeanette, Comfeli. If I remember, I'll put the info down in the description box because I have got a discount code for them. One thing I would say is that if you are looking for a lot of support, they are not underwire bras, and for me, they don't give enough support. Very, very, very comfortable to wear, and certainly if I'm just slopping about the house, they're lovely for that, but I wouldn't wear them on a day-to-day basis because I find that they haven't got the uplift that quite a heavy bust requires. So I would just say that. Carla Hardman says, "I love to reread books. What is your comfort book that you could reread again and again?" The book that I have reread the most is Rachel's Holiday by Marian Keyes, but I'm not a great rereader of books, generally speaking. Fluffy Muffin says, "What's your favourite little life luxury that makes your heart smile?" I think my favourite little life luxury, as I said earlier, is taking 2 hours for myself on a weekday afternoon to sit in a comfy chair and read. That is my little life luxury that I always feel grateful that I've made myself do it. User 28594 says, "What is your daily skincare routine? What products do you use every day?" I double cleanse. I use a micellar water to take my makeup off, and then use a cleansing balm at various different ones. I like the Elemis one. I'm currently using a L'Oreal one that I don't love. I always use a chemical exfoliant, so the Pixie Glow Tonic or the Alpha H, something like that. I use a niacinamide serum and a vitamin C serum in the morning, and I quite like the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, although it is quite expensive, as a night moisturiser at the moment, but I do change it up a lot. I get Sensum products, so I rotate what I'm using a lot. Rachel Cornish Maid says, "Hi Caroline, I have an idea for a video. Come to Trago Mills with me." I have actually filmed in Trago Mills in the past, Rachel. Trago Mills is a local discount store. Perhaps I ought to go there again and do a little film, although the shelves I haven't been for a while, but the shelves seem very empty these days. I wonder if Trago Mills is on its way out. Who knows? Sewing Pins says, "Hi Caroline, what did you and your friend decide to do regarding the massive increase in the cost of the weight loss drug you were both taking?" My friend Carla, who I made a video with, she made a video recently about what she's going to do going forward, which basically she can't afford to continue, sadly. So although she hasn't had as much success with it as she hoped she would have, I'll try and remember to link her video down in the description box. For me, I think I said in the the Q&A video the other day, but I'll just quickly tell you again, I was able to buy 3 pens from my supplier before the prices went up, and I'm still only just into the second of those 3 pens, so I will not be making a decision for another couple of months, until I've got to the end of there, or a month or so anyway, so I'll let you know when I've decided. Christine Coates says, no personal questions but a request. Could you do some high street try-ons other than M&S, for example, H&M? I did actually do an H&M try-on earlier this year, Christine. It was very, very unsuccessful. I found their sizing absolutely incomprehensible, and so many people put in the comments that you'd had the same experience with them. The other thing is, I absolutely loathe their website. I find it almost as bad as Zara's website. If they're part of the same group, I feel like they're part of the same group, maybe. But yeah, I really don't like their website, and I find it very hard to shop from. So H&M is, I never say never. I might do another H&M haul at some point. I do have a 2 at Sainsbury's Christmas party wear coming up at some point soon, and yeah, but H&M, I didn't have a great experience when I did that one back in the summer. But if you've got any other ideas for any other high street shops, let me know and I will have a look at them. Tina Stanley says, I have a couple of questions if you don't mind me asking. One is personal, so I understand if you don't want to answer. What did you do as a jobs before YouTube, and how did you meet your husband? I've talked a little bit about my immediate previous job from YouTube, which I still do on a part-time basis, but I've done all sorts of different things over the years. My first job out of college was as a conference coordinator in a hotel. I've done secretarial work. I have been a recruitment consultant, various office jobs, a PA, and then I got into the reselling and the YouTube stuff. And how did I meet my husband? I believe I have a whole video on that as well, and I will put it up here so you can go and watch all about that if you'd like to. Rebecca Scales says, hi Caroline, I'm usually a silent watcher. My question is, will you get another pet? Maybe a rescue cat or maybe a little dog. I can just see you and Ashley with a little dog. Absolutely not a dog. We are not dog people. I have friends who have dogs. I like my friends' dogs very much, but I have no desire to have a dog. It's too much of a tie for me. We go away a lot. We are out a lot. I don't want that. You can't leave a dog all day in the house by itself, even if you want to go out for a day shopping or something, can you? I absolutely hate the idea of having to pick up any poo as well. That's not for me. So whilst I love my friends' dogs, having my own dog is absolutely not for me. Sorry, I've got such an itchy nose this morning. With regard to a cat, we are very torn. We would both absolutely love to have another cat, but we also recognise that the freedom that not having a cat to worry about when we go away is something that we're very much enjoying. I can tell you, however, that I am getting a grand cat because William and Georgie are picking up a kitten next weekend, and I'm very excited. I think he's coming to stay with us at Christmas with Will and Georgie, so I'm very excited about that. His name is going to be Seymour, and he's a ragdoll cat. But I'm never saying never with my own cat. Again, I might, if and when our circumstances and life change, we might get another cat, but not at the moment. And that is all the questions. I feel like this has been even longer than the first one. If you stuck with me to the end, thank you so much. I hope that was interesting. And I will see you again very soon in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.